record. I think we're doing it, man. I think we're doing it. What's up, Andrew?
How you been?
I'm doing well. I'm happy. I'm happy that this idea came to me. Before I introduce you, I just want to do an announcement. This is for our Patreon subscribers of Police Off the Cuff. I'm trying a new thing now, my own segment. It's a one-on-one with Mark DeMayo. And today I have a guest that has a remarkable story. And I'm really proud to have him on the show. I'm happy that I thought about this. I'm proud of myself as well. But I want to welcome to you a retired member of the service. You are Passaic County PD?
Yes, Passaic County Sheriff's Department.
Passaic County Sheriff's Department. And we welcome you to One-on-One with Mark DeMayo. What's up, Andrew Singer?
Very good to see you, Mark. Very good to see you.
Yeah, it's very good to see you too, man. I live vicariously through your post. I know I haven't seen you in person in years.
Yes.
But I see your post every day. I'm in love with you. You know, I love your family. You do beautiful things. You're a beautiful man. And let's start with the story. So where'd you grow up?
Right here in Passaic. I was born. It's that's another thing that I'm going to get to someday. That's going to be a whole other thing in itself. I was born in Florida. I was adopted. My whole adoption story is basically a movie in itself. It is a wild, wild story that you wouldn't even believe if I told you. I'm going to eventually do something with that someday. But when I tell you it is the most outrageous adoption story you've ever heard of, it's crazy. But I ended up in Passaic with my parents, got out of Passaic for a little while and ended up back in Passaic. It's a fun town. Ended up in law enforcement like yourself. I don't know if I wanted to get into law enforcement. It was almost a path of, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I was kind of going downhill. I was kind of going down the wrong path, doing the wrong things.
You too.
And my sister was a dispatcher with the sheriff's department. She had moved on to the Clifton Police, and I think she saw that I needed some help, and she basically opened the door for me. I was doing auto body at the time, chop shop. And I said, okay, I'll get into the law enforcement because it was good money. I figured I was going to be a dispatcher for 5 years, and then I was going to open up my own auto body. Once I got into law enforcement and I saw the opportunities, I saw the brotherhood, I saw the money that could be made, I did my 20. With the goal of hoping to get out after my 20 and get back into auto body and building custom cars and stuff like that. My life took a different route, as you know. My son got sick when he was 3.5 with meningitis, and it changed my entire life. I don't look at life the same. How I met you is through the thing that basically saved our life, through everything that we've been through with my son and go through with my son, and that's comedy. Because learning to laugh at everything is, I believe, is the key to life. A lot of people don't realize that. When you can learn to laugh at everything, you've got a secret to life, my friend.
Yeah. I remember I did a show in Jersey. And soon after that, I think I met you that night. We friended each other on social media, kept in touch with each other. And in the meantime, you had done 8 years, right? How much time did you do with the PD over there?
I did my full 20.
Oh, you did the 20.
Yeah, I did full 20 with them. Yeah, I did 20 and out. It's 25 and out would have been a little better, but I got to the point. We had a lot of things. Chris Christie was our governor at the time. He was cutting everything, so I didn't know how bad it was going to get. So I rolled the dice and I got out at 20 with good benefit, decent pension. I had just turned 50. Just turned 51.
Oh, so were you did they let you stay on the job with like a hardship, and they kind of sort of took care of you? Is that what happened?
The amazing thing, when my son got sick, it was absolutely amazing. They started something within the department that still goes to this day, but they started it then. Everybody in the department was allowed to donate 5 sick days. And that went into a pool, and I basically took, I think it was about 5 or 6 months off to be at my son's side while he was in rehab hospital, while he was going through everything. So every time that, my son was in a coma for a long time, every time that he would kind of go in and out, when he opened his eyes, I was able to be there. And I'll still say to this day, that was one of the greatest gifts that Jerry Spezial at the time was the sheriff and the Passaic County Sheriff's Department gave me. And the doctors to this day say it too. My son should not be as far as he is. He's much further than anyone ever expected him to ever be. And that's because of the fact that my wife and I were there 24/7 in the beginning. Like I said, for the first, I believe it was first 5 or 6 months, we were there nonstop. And then basically when I got back to work, I was a warrant detective at the time. I was pretty much told, whatever 8 hours a day you want to do, you do. So I had free reign. It was amazing. It was difficult to get back into police work at that time. Of course, when your head's not in it 100%. But I was honored and privileged to work with some of the best men and women, the family. Everybody looked out for each other. Everybody took care of each other. If I had to come and go real quickly, I was barely ever questioned. That love and support, like I said, to this day is one of the key reasons why my son is doing much better than ever expected, was because I was given that opportunity to take care of him.
Yeah, that's where the job comes in. And it is like family. It's a beautiful family when, God forbid, you have a hardship. And they do have, especially the NYPD has resources and stuff like that. And they look out for their own. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. So, yeah, so I would imagine, like, I was under the impression that you when your son got sick, you kind of sort of, you had to leave the job, but you somehow you still went to work.
Yeah.
So how long have you actually been retired?
I retired in, 2009? Yeah, retired in 2009. So yeah, I've been out, 11 years now?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And you've been out how long now? How have you been out?
8.
All right. Does it almost, I think I'm to the point now where it almost seems like a lifetime ago, like a different world ago, especially with everything going on in the world too. It's not the same. I look back, I'm glad to be out. I'm grateful to be out now. I mean, it is definitely a tough time for anybody wearing the badge right now.
Oh yeah.
Not easy at all.
That's an understatement right there.
Yeah. I'm glad I had my time when I had my time, and I'm glad to look back on it now. Again, grateful for everything that it gave me. Gave me a good pension, not a great pension, but a good pension. Covers the medical, covers the prescription.
Mm-hmm.
I think $120 a month, every month just to cover it. But I mean, that's great compared to what some of the guys getting out now are paying. So fully covered. And my son has he's on a dozen meds a day, at least, several times a day. So that's all covered, which is wonderful too, because I couldn't imagine having to pay for my son's meds, out of pocket. It's insane.
I know. I see the schedule that you keep. You posted it online on your Instagram or your Facebook or both, and it's a heavy, like you said, it's a dozen times a day. And I was imagine there's points like, do we give this? Do we give this already or what? Like, how do you guys manage it? Because not everybody can go in there and do it. Like somebody has to be like in complete control over at least once a day, or you switch days, because otherwise, who knows who gave it? You have a daughter, a beautiful daughter, a wife, so you want to make sure that nobody's double dipping, right?
Let's make it clear here. My wife is the captain of the ship. Let's
Okay.
make that perfectly clear. I'm the comedic sidekick. She keeps everything in order. She keeps us all in line, and it all works. We're grateful too. Like I said, my daughter, she's amazing. She's grown up. It hasn't been an easy life growing up in this house. But again, I couldn't be more proud and honored of the young lady that she's becoming because of what she's seen. The way that we look at life. Like I said, when my son got sick, we had a beautiful home that we had bought, that we were turning into what we wanted it to, had everything. I was driving a BMW. I was building a custom Porsche in the garage. When my son got sick, everything went out the window. I now live in the attic. This is my son's room. I'm in the attic of my mother-in-law's house. There's a lot of comedy material there. But it's, you realize what you need in life. And you don't need a lot in life. You just need your family. You need those close to you around you. You need love. You need laughter. And all the other things that I thought that I wanted and I thought that I needed and I thought were goals, I realized aren't. Like I said, it's love and laughter that I realized are the most important things. And if you have those and you keep those, you can keep somewhat sane. I'm not saying fully sane. I mean, you can look and see that this is not sane right here. This is on the edge, but
it looks like you talk to God every day, and he's and like you mimic him, right? Does he when you talk to God, does he go, Andrew, what's the deal? You don't have to look like me. I know who you are. Does he say that to you?
Exactly. It's an interesting relationship. I mean, again, comedy has always been a big part of my life. I'm really honored now to really be a lot more in comedy. I mean, comedy is. Did you always have comedy, or did you find comedy while you were on the job? Where did the comedy really come into it for you?
Well, I started when I was on the job as I guess you could say, professional comedian. But I was always an idiot. Basically, I was getting thrown out of class pretty much on a daily basis. They don't have detention anymore, which is kind of weird. Like I remember, I don't think they have detention anymore, and they definitely don't have summer school.
Wow. Yeah, I lived in both of those. We had something in Passaic High called in-school suspension, where they didn't even want you in the classes. You would spend the entire school day sitting in this classroom with all the other rejects.
Yeah.
That was a comedy fest in itself.
Yeah.
I think it was Mr. Torado ran the class, and he was a funny man too. And as long as you were having fun, and as long as you were keeping things light and funny, you could talk. You could have fun in there. That was my high school, was in-school suspension. I mean, it was.
I remember you used to get detention if you acted up in a class. You had to stay an hour after school, and that's if one teacher, because you're in high school right now, so you're getting a whole bunch of teachers. If they write you now, if you have 2 or more teachers, the most you can do is 2 hours. So my day was usually it was a 10.5-hour day every day. 8 hours in the school and then the 2 hours in detention. That's where all the cool kids were, though.
Exactly. That's where
that was the party after that. I couldn't wait to get to detention. And what's funny about getting left back? I don't think they do that anymore. I remember I had a kid in my class, and if you failed the class, you had to go to summer school. And if you missed summer school, you were going to get held back. Well, this kid's family went to Italy every year. Right after school ended, they spent the whole summer in Italy. They didn't care about education so much. They were just first generation here. So every year he'd come back, and every year he'd find out that he got left back. So he was 16. He was in the 4th grade still. Because his family kept going back to Italy every summer. They didn't get it. And they didn't care. Thank God for these forcible passing people. Who cares, really? Just don't get them out. If they're not doing good in school, get them working.
It's not I think that's a problem.
I see the poster of Mr. Bean in the back. I know that your son loves Mr. Bean, and you built a car for. Didn't you build a Mr. Bean car for him? Yeah.
I have the original classic. It's a tough picture to look at because it's crushed. But I built an original classic Mini Cooper, and I have a newer Mini Cooper which hasn't run in a couple of years. I got to get that running, but that's like a tribute car, same color, same paint scheme, Mr. Bean stuff all over it. Again, it's all just about how can we laugh every day. And it's tough. I mean, especially during these tough times too. I mean, as a comedian, I mean, I see you're starting to do some outdoor shows here and there again.
Yeah, I actually have 2 tomorrow night.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I was thinking, who knows? Maybe it's getting back to normal a little bit. But also in regards to your comedy, so you started off, you were a comedy fan, obviously. And then I guess the shows that came through in Jersey, you started frequenting them just to get out, I would imagine, with your wife.
Yeah.
And whenever you could. and just take a moment for you guys, for your sanity, right? And you started meeting some of the comedians, right? And you met Donnell Rollins, who's a great guy.
I absolutely love the guy. Absolutely. I'm honored to call him my brother. And when I say my brother, I mean that. I mean, we go back and forth almost on a daily basis, whether it's about comedy or whether it's about life, whether it's about family. And it's amazing too, how I was just a fan of his. Comedy saved us in the beginning when my son first got sick, and we switched from the ICU to a rehab hospital. My son was in a coma at the time. We had no idea if he was going to live or die. We had no idea what was going on. When we got to the rehab hospital, my wife came home and got all the mail that had been piling up for, I think, 4 weeks at the time. And she brought it to the hospital. And in there was the first season of Chappelle's Show. DVD. We had pre-ordered that because we were huge fans. And when she got to the hospital, we were going through all the mail, and she put that down. And I looked at her and I said, "You can take that home. We can't watch that now." Something clicked in my head. We both looked at each other and we had a moment, and we said, "We have to watch that now." We started watching that in our room with 3 other families every night in the rehab hospital with, again, kids that, were barely hanging on to life. We brought laughter into that room. The nurses started coming in. The doctors started coming in. They started absolutely loving it, because here you have a room it's dark. Nobody knew what was going to happen with their own child. And we were laughing. We were laughing every night. The laughter coming, the nurses would pop in and they would say, "Love hearing this. Thank you guys for bringing this energy to this." So like I said, Chappelle basically saved us. And we realized at that very moment, we're going to laugh. We're going to make fun of everything we go through. We're going to laugh at it. A lot of people don't understand that. And then through time, I started doing funny Photoshops, memes became my theme. And I started connecting with different comedians on different levels. And I reached out to Donnell. I sent him a bunch of stuff. He loved my work. He said, you have an amazing, sense of timing. And he said, keep it going. And then he started to see about my life. And it was I believe it was my son's 10th birthday. He was out here in New York. He had something going. And I invited him. I said, "You're in the area." I said, "If you want to come for my son's birthday, you're more than welcome." And I got okay, I'll see. And I had never, didn't know what that meant. We had the birthday party going on for Jayden. All of a sudden, I get a phone call. It was him. He was lost. He was a couple of blocks away. He goes, "Where the hell are you?" I told him, came to the house. And when I tell you, we had a conversation. During that conversation, I said to him, "One of the things that I'm grateful for is my father had taught me to laugh at everything, life, death, and everything in between." As I was saying that exact line, Donnell was saying it with me. That moment we clicked, and we've pretty much been inseparable since. He had me in Jay and Silent Bob's movie with him. We've done so much together. Chappelle has had this whole summer camp thing going all summer long.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Donnell wanted me out there.
I know, I was going to ask you about that.
I could have been out there this entire summer being a part of that. But my son's health issues, my son doesn't have an immune system. So when the flu season started coming around back in December, back last year, we go on lockdown then. When we started hearing about this Wuhan, I got out. I got to do a couple of open mics in January. Thank goodness I got to do a little stage time in 2020. Got a few open mics in, and then we started hearing about the Wuhan. And we started hearing that it was here. And basically we went on lockdown because my son wouldn't survive it. He has no immune system. We have been on lockdown, like I said, for the regular flu since December of last year, but then on extreme lockdown pretty much since January, February of this year. So we've been on lockdown, keeping the humor just within the house. I'm still a part of what Donnell does with his social media. We still do a lot of stuff. We're still creating. We're still doing things. It probably would have been a lot further this year, a lot more connections, a lot more going. But again, my son's life, everything else. You got to put family first. So I have no regrets for that. And I know that in time, I know things will come. Again, I'm connected with people like you. I'm connected with so many amazing comedians. I know that there will be opportunities. I know that there will be things. And I know that it's important that we keep the world laughing. you know, what we do on all the different levels that we do of comedy. It's important that we keep the world laughing because it needs it now more than ever.
It's just some funny Donnell stories are running through my head. You know, you probably don't know this, but even though I've shared it on a bunch of podcasts already, but Donnell basically gave me my start in comedy. And I'll tell you how that happened. I did start when I was a cop, but I was an actor first. And I was acting for a couple of years, and I was in phenomenal shape. I was young and handsome, ripped. So I was booking a lot. You know, I was, whatever I went out for, and there were smaller parts on TV and stuff like that, but I was getting it. And then all of a sudden I'm reading for really big stuff. And it scared me because I was a cop. And it wasn't, you know, I was recently married, and it wasn't something that my in-laws would want to hear, that I was going to leave a good job and then go start, you know, chase after this acting thing. And so I kind of sort of put the acting in the back burner, and I started doing stand-up, subconsciously thinking, well, I'll just start this from the beginning and that'll buy me some time before I have to make another choice. And when I started stand-up, I started from the Backstage newspaper, and I used to go and read that every day for acting. And I remember that there was some comedy things in there. So I found this Doc Livingston comedy posse, and I went and I auditioned. It was just this guy. He was a UPS driver, and he was starting this comedy thing. He had a show. He had a room in Brooklyn. We were going to do a show. My first show I ever did, I got paid for $25. It was in Brooklyn at this place called the Palm Court. That turned out to be Donnell Rollins' old. He used to host a show there.
Yeah.
But now this guy Quasar took it over. So long story short, Donnell came. It was probably the second week, and he did some stage time. He talked to Quasar, and before you know it, the maneuvering and all the dealings were going on in the back, and he was going to be the host from now on. So the third week came, and he started. He put up a couple of people that were part of this Doc Livingston posse. Now, mind you, this Doc Livingston posse is all, nobody's ever done comedy before, you know? And so as the weeks went by, those guys got up less and less while the talented comedian came through, Rudy Rush, Mike Epps, Drew Frazier, you know, you can name it. So many. Mark Theobald, who writes for Tracy Morgan's show right now. Tracy Morgan, I met them all there. Jimmy Martinez, I can't even tell you.
I love Jimmy. He's out there, but I love Jimmy.
I love that. I love Jimmy too. So long story short, the only person that Doc would put up, well, the other guys stopped coming because they weren't getting up anymore. But the only person he put up consistently was me.
Awesome.
I was the only guy that he would put up because I guess I had an idea of what a joke was, and I had a chance to meet all these different, you know, they were all the urban comics. Rob Stapleton, I could go on and on and on. Even Larry David show. What's the guy's name now? I'm forgetting his name. JB Smooth.
Yes.
You know, every you know, Fig. Every single Black comedian, Spanish comedian, I met them. A.G. White, he's white, but he might as well be Black. All of them, and I met them all there. And then I kind of sort of navigated into this urban comedy world, and which, by the way, you know, I found out later on is the only world that probably gives out stage time to new guys. You know, they call it the New Jack spot, but you know, you get up. And, you know, sometimes it could be hard, especially Donnell used to have this room called Poke Knockers. And Donnell, he was always a smart guy, business guy. He made this, he recorded, unbeknownst to everybody, he recorded us one night over at Pork Knockers. And Pork Knockers was a place in Brooklyn. Monday night, I think it was, used to get packed. It had, you walk in, there was a long bar. Then there was a big, like, you know, restaurant, I guess. And then in the back of it was doors open, and there was a patio, and they would have, the comedy show would be going on in the long bar, obviously in the main room, and outside they had this big screen. So if you were doing well, man, you were ripping the whole place. But if you were bombing everywhere. There was no place you bombed, you walked off stage and got the fuck out because you couldn't hang out there. And I was doing good. I did so well that he recorded us one night and he sold it. He gave me a box of them too to sell. It was called Bootleg Comedy Volume 1.
Wow.
And I had like 2 jokes on there. And it was like, it was amazing for me because, I'm this new comic, whatever. And I shouldn't have been on there. But I got cocky. I came back and I started taking I took the stage like a pro now. And, I'm looking around, I'm taking my time, this, that, and the other. And long story short, about 35 seconds in, I had lost the audience. And it wasn't like an audience where they would boo you off stage. But if they stopped paying attention to you, man, that was a huge room. You weren't getting them back. And then finally Donnell came and bailed me out. And as our paths were crossing, I'm like, thanking God he took me upstairs. He goes, can't do that shit here, man. You got to go. This ain't the place. And I learned a lesson. I was like, yeah, you're right, man. I'm sorry. I fucked up. And then, like I said, I got off the stage, went right out to my car. It's good night. I'll see you. Won't be back. I didn't come back for a month at least. But yeah, so Donnell, a special guy for, my audience who don't exactly know who we're talking about. We're talking about Donnell Rollins. He was Ashley Larry on the Dave Chappelle show. He's got his own podcast right now that's pretty huge. He's been in a ton of stuff. Excellent comedian. He's got a special that was great too. But yeah, you meet some wonderful people. And, the fact that I'm jealous of the fact that, like he took he got you involved in the comedy. I would have liked to do that too, but, it's just somebody was there for you, which is good.
He bullied me into comedy. I mean, like I said, I was doing the memes and I was doing the photoshops and I was doing all the funny stuff. And it's a different type of comedy. I always called myself a humorist. I wouldn't call myself a comedian because I didn't do what comedians do. I respect what comedians do. I respect the work that goes into it, the stage time, the process, the acting on stage. It's, a lot of people will be like, oh, you're in comedy. I said, no, I'm a humorist because I do the pictures.
Yeah.
He saw something in me that, and to this day, I'm still amazed and honored by it. He saw something in me. He saw that I had comedy in me. And he bullied me. My very first time on stage was opening for him at Caroline's.
Oh, really?
That was my very first time on stage. He reached out to me one Thanksgiving and he said, listen, I got a show coming up. I think it was in December before the holidays. He said, you got 5 minutes. And I said, and he called me up and he said, you got 5 minutes, get it ready, you're doing it, and hung up the phone. And I called him right back and he said, there's nothing to talk about. He said, 5 minutes, get up there and do it. So I started putting some stuff together. I was like, am I doing? And then I would reach out to him every couple of weeks and go, hey, do you want to? He'd go, I don't want to hear it, and hang up the phone on me. He'd be like, just do it. Mm-hmm. I remember the first time I got up there and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know whether to do regular comedy. I didn't know whether to do. So I actually, most of my comedy that time, I think my very first time was a story about him and I. And then and then he bullied me into doing more. And then I started doing comedy about my son, making jokes about what we go through, making jokes about his seizures, making jokes about near-death experiences, making jokes about scoliosis. And I remember very early on, like you said about, how you can lose a crowd, I remember how engaged the audience would become. A lot of the jokes, I would get the cringe, and then I would get the, oh my God, he's making fun of it. It's his life. It's his story. And I remember one time, one of the first times, Donnell grabbed me after I got off stage at Caroline's, and he was emotional. And he said, they have to love you to be able to laugh at what you're giving them. And like I said, from there on, he would just, he would constantly bully me to get on stage. And I would always ask him, I would always say, can you please give me advice? You're one of the greatest comedians in the world. You're getting me up on stage. You've never given me advice. You've never told me what to do. You've never listened to my jokes before you get up there. And he said, I don't have to. He said, you learn comedy. He said, the stage is the only place you learn. He said, the stage will teach you everything you know. He goes, I could tell you things. He goes, it may help. He's giving me advice after shows, but it's true. I mean, you have to be on that stage.
Yeah.
And every mic is a different mic. You could kill in one place, take that exact same step, go to another place, and bomb. You have to figure out how to get through. You have to figure out, how to work a crowd. I think, like I said, it's very little advice Donnell has actually given me, but I think the best and favorite advice that he did give me was basically just have a conversation with the audience. Mm-hmm. If you have a conversation with the audience and they're engaged and they're interacting and you're telling the truth, you're telling your life, it's going to go well.
Yeah, it is one of those things where, especially in the very beginning, you just got to do it.
Yeah,
you just got to do it. It's and then after a little while, when you have your stuff like that, and there might be a new level to go to, it's nice. Like when I did my one-man show, I was pretty satisfied with the laughter that I was getting in my comedy world. But then when I was doing my one-man show and I had a director, and he was he got me involved more physically. He was a theater person. And then I started realizing how much more laughter I could get on these jokes.
That was the last time that I was actually at Caroline's. It was an amazing night. It was I was there. Marshall Brandon was there, who's an amazing comedian. Yamanika was there. Uh-huh. I love Yamanika. Yeah. I didn't realize that I was up on stage before Yamanika. And I was like, oh my God. When I got off the stage that night, it was one of the first times, and probably the only time that Donnell actually, I won't say yelled at me, but was very serious with me. And I got upset at first, and then I realized what he was doing. In this house, Mr. Bean rules. We watch Mr. Bean every day. I'm very physical comedy with my son because he's a deaf mute. So everything is physical. Everything is, falling down. Everything is bumping into something. Everything is a prop. I got off stage that night at Caroline's. I think it was a packed house on a Friday night. I got good reaction back from the crowd. They were happy. They were laughing. They were applauding. He grabs me and looks into my eyes and basically goes, who the hell was that on stage? He goes, I've been to your house 1,000,000 times. He goes, you are one of the most animated, funny people I've ever seen. He goes, to stand there and hold a mic, he goes, I don't know who the hell you are. And immediately, I was just going to go back to the green room and cry. Uh-huh. And I was like, okay. I went around the back, Caroline's, and I stood behind the DJ booth there. And I watched when Donnell went on stage, and what you were just saying is so true. I watched, I knew a lot of the jokes. He never tells the same joke twice. It's always changing. So I knew a lot of the jokes. I watched him. I watched the physical. I watched his eyebrows move in an hour set more than my eyebrows move all year long. And like you said, it's the when you can bring the physical to it, then that just steps the game up. And that's what I was working on too when COVID hit and shut down. And I can't wait to get back on a stage and bring that, because like you said, that is so important when you can bring the physical to it.
Yeah, it just punches it up more. You realize, okay, the words are funny. I can act them out. And then they're even funny. We talk about, I brought a lot of comedians up that I met back then. And Greer Barnes, to me, is one of these guys where, when they evaluate athletes before they go on to become pros, they got this list, and it's like a checklist. Let's say basketball plays. Goes well to his left. He's got a 16-foot jump shot, weak from 3 points. Not, good defender. No, so they break it down what your skill level, and that's exactly how comedy is. So it's like on good joke writer, great physically, can do accents, can do impressions, sound effects. So when you watch like a Greer Barnes, you watch all those things going on at the same time. So it was like something like when I saw him, I was like, oh shit, okay, I get it. This guy's fucking around on 5 different levels right now. Yeah. He's a master, and that's kind of sort of always been my goal, is to, and I've upped I'm a vet for some guy who's 6'4", 250. I'm very physical on stage. I move around a lot. And you said that the timing is good. I'm not good with dialects or which you can't really use that much anymore. Yes. But sound effects. But I do just a little bit. I don't like those guys who they can rap.
Yeah.
right? And okay, that was clever, but you don't have to give me the whole freaking 3-minute rap song, because then your whole act. Oh, I get it, you rap, but you wanted to try comedy. It's clever when it's just enough.
Just enough just to hit.
You got to have that ear for it when it's enough, in and out.
Yes.
You got it. I did the girl's voice. Now you can, even if it's a horrible go, you get it. So that kind of stuff, it comes naturally with the years. You learn, oh wow, look, I got an extra laugh by doing that thing with my eyebrows, you know. But that's it. That's amazing that you got involved not only with the memes, but that you actually got yourself on stage. And mind you, listen, you're not the only one that's not getting up on stage with COVID right now. There's not much going on. As a matter of fact, I'm scared for Friday because I've gotten, my wings clipped a little bit because after I retired, I started doing a whole bunch of cop material. Before I retired, I never talked about being a cop. Nobody in the audience knew it. The comics knew it. But when I retired, I wrote the one-man show. I wrote a lot of cop jokes, this, that, and the other. And now I couldn't do it. I'd be scared to walk the audience, and you don't know how people are going to react. People are triggering. They're tightening up. Oh, I was a cop. Oh, that's it. I'm leaving. So, I got to go back to writing new material, cop material, telling the host, whatever you do, don't tell them I'm a cop. I was a cop. Because sometimes people used to like to do that too, to set me up, thinking that it was going to fail, but it didn't fail. Fuck you. You know what I'm saying? But don't feel bad, man. It's all going to come around. It'll be back. Who knows if I'll ever be able to tell a joke about cops again, but it'll be on. You're not missing a whole hell of a lot right now. As a matter of fact, memes are incredible and funny, and I've seen some of yours and they're great, and especially he's got a beef with the guy from the radio, right?
The Breakfast Club, Charlemagne and DJ Envy. I mean, it's one of those love-hate relationships. I've been fortunate enough to be up to Breakfast Club with Donnell and I mean Angela Yee. They're an amazing bunch. They're wonderful. And it's one of those things where they clown on Donnell, so we go hard. And that's the thing, too. I don't think a lot of people realize. I think a lot of people think that when you make fun of somebody, you're making fun of them. When you go hard on somebody, it's usually because you love them. The harder you go on somebody, the deeper you cut into them, it's usually because there's a respect there. There is an admiration there. There is something there. It's not out of anger. It's not out of hate. It's out of respect, and it's out of love. We do dig pretty deep into him, but he's a good.
I've seen the memes.
Yeah,
they're great. Everything that everybody wearing a dress has a Charlemagne face on it, and it's deep. Yeah, you're cutting deep there. That's good. They're funny.
It's funny because like my wife cracks up all the time too. I mean, my biggest fear. If anybody ever got a hold of my phone and looked at the photos that are on here, the photos that I have to put together to make up some of that stuff, I couldn't explain. Like if anybody ever got a hold of my phone and started going through my photos, I'm sure I'm on a watch list somewhere because of half of the shit that I have to download to create some of the memes, some of the, over the top sexual, this, that, the other thing. It's just like, I can't even I have to make sure now too, like with my daughter, I can't even let her see what's on my phone half the time because my wife cracks up half the time. She'll be sitting next to me. She'll look over, she'll go, oh my God. And she'll be like, I don't even want to know. I don't even, and she'll usually say, Charlemagne. I'll be like, yeah, Charlemagne. It's just I don't even want to know what's going on. And
if it was on my phone, they would be like, wait a minute, I know that. Wait, that's a. She was with her husband and her 2 kids in that picture. He cropped the whole family out.
It's unbelievable what goes into making some of the pictures. It's I couldn't explain half the pictures on my phone to anybody if I had to. But again, it's just all fun. I mean, that's what we do. Gotta laugh.
Man, it's remarkable, man. It's just remarkable what humor does. And we covered the memes. I wanted to get to that. We covered Donnell. I wanted to get to that. We did the Mr. Bean. So now let's talk about what's going on right now. Because your son, you guys are very insulated because so who goes out?
Nobody.
Nobody go out.
We have, in the beginning, we were blessed. We had some amazing friends doing our shopping for us. They'd be Jenny or I would get a text from somebody, hey, we're at ShopRite, what do you need? And like, I would have to fight with people. Okay. You know, like they would just drop off bags. What's your Cash App? What's your Venmo? Like people like wouldn't even accept payment in the beginning, you know? And then it got to the point where like, after like 3 or 4 times, they were like, okay, yeah. Like, in the beginning, I mean, that was amazing. Like I said, we kind of lived this life before it. Like I said, in December, once flu season regularly starts, we kind of go into lockdown mode. So we're always all about ordering online and getting stuff shipped in. But then, of course, like everybody else, it became hard to find certain things. We were able to switch pretty much all of my son's meds to delivery from CVS, which is awesome. Honestly, I have been out of the house, I think 4 times since, like I said, in January, I was out quite a bit, you know, doing regular stuff, doing open mics, doing some stuff. Once we realized that we had to go on lockdown in the beginning of February, I've been out of the house 4 times to get my braces adjusted. I had to go out 1 time to get my son's meds, but really that's been it. My wife has been out a couple of times here and there. My son hasn't had blood drawn in forever. They finally came last week to draw my son's blood, so now we can have a little bit more understanding of what's going on with him, because he's been all over the place. It's been teleconferences just like this with his doctors, and it's not the same. So it's been extremely difficult, and it's tough too, because like I said, we're in the attic of my mother-in-law's house. We don't have a yard. The backyard is all paved. That's where all the cars are parked. The neighborhood we live in, it's a very quiet. We're in the middle of basically a Hasidic neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
They all keep to themselves. They don't really bother with us. I mean, they're friendly. They wave, but it's not even like my daughter can like go out or do anything.
How long did you have to tell before you had to tell them you're not Hasidic?
That's an interesting. Let me tell you, when 9/11 hit, there's a lot of synagogues around here. When 9/11 hit, I went back to patrol. I was a detective at the time, plain clothes. We went back to patrol, and I was in a patrol car. And since there are so many synagogues around here, I was basically sitting by the synagogues every day after 9/11.
Yeah, yeah.
And all the kids would come by and sit in the car and turn the lights and sirens on. And then one day, one of the kids this is another weird thing that's going to throw you too. One of the kids started saying a prayer. I started saying it with him. I'm Jewish. I'm not really Jewish at all, but out of respect for both my parents were ultra-Orthodox Jews from Brooklyn.
Wow.
Yeah, they got away from it. They didn't like the lifestyle. They thought it was too much. They both got away from it, and I was Reformed Jew. I went to a Reformed temple for 2 or 3 years. I had a bar mitzvah, out of respect for my grandmother, so I knew it. So I started saying the prayer along with this kid, and all the kids were like what? Like what? Like how? Who? Like how is that possible? I immediately had one of the older men, either a rabbi or a cantor, came out from the synagogue and immediately started questioning me. You told these kids you were Jewish. You're not Jew. Went into the whole. You're not a Jew. You're not a. Okay. So ever since then, they still know who I am around here. Some of them are friendly. Most of them, I think you know too, from being in New York and Brooklyn and all that kind of stuff. If you're not a real Jew, you're not a Jew.
Uh-huh.
They don't like you sometimes even more than the non-Jews. So
there's different levels, and the Hasidics is one. It's probably the highest level.
Yeah.
But at the same time, not everybody's a fan. Even Jews aren't a fan of the Hasids, especially in Israel, because in Israel the Hasids tend to be a lot more stricter, and like where we have, I guess that law. Sharia law, where the Muslims, they try to control who comes in and how you're dressed. The Hasids do the same thing, but they do it in Israel. So if you're coming down and you're not to your elbows, if you're a female, they'll let you know by hitting you in the head with a rock.
The funniest thing, when I was a warrant detective, my partner was Muslim. They called him Big Muslim. That was my partner. And it was like the big joke, like me and him would like go out to eat, and then like someone would see us there. They'd send a plate of bacon to the table. I would eat that plate of bacon. But the one thing that me and Sahil was his name, we learned is as different and as much as they butt heads, those two religions are almost identical. They're almost identical. They almost have the same beliefs, the same crazy thoughts, the same, they're almost the exact same people, but yet they don't like each other.
They are the same people in a lot of ways.
Yeah, they truly are. So, like, I mean, they're nice in the neighborhood. They know the situation. They wave. They say hi. You can drive through this neighborhood, and this house, especially with the fall coming up. this is the only house with Halloween decorations. Come Christmas time, this is the only house with Christmas decorations. We stand out. But the nice thing is while I'm putting stuff up, and a lot of times too, when people are walking by, a lot of the families will say, thank you. It looks good. We enjoy it. We enjoy, the light. They're not dead against it. They don't hate it. They understand it. They understand why we do it for our family. There's no big cross in front of the house or anything like that. It's always fun stuff. It's always, like Hulk, Mickey Mouse. It's always fun, family friendly, inflatables and stuff like that. The lights are always very colorful. So I think they just understand the vibe. We're just trying to just have fun. And that's what everybody's trying to do. So, but again, it's kind of weird. I almost wish that we were in a little bit more of a better neighborhood where I had some more space for my daughter to be outside more, to be hanging around.
Well, your daughter's a teenager now. I'm sure she, before the COVID, and when this is all said and done, she's got to, I'm sure she's got to do her own thing. She has her friends, right?
Yeah.
Probably can't come over to her house and play, but she's got to go somewhere else and have not play dates anymore, but hanging out and stuff like that, right?
Well, she has one friend that she's very close to. We've been doing a lot of, they've been coming over here. Her parents just recently, a couple of weeks ago, they went back to they both work in New York. So they both went back. So before that, we were getting as much time in together as we could. Now they went back to work in New York. So we're a little bit nervous, but this is the final weekend before school officially starts and everything like that, even though they're going to be going online. So my daughter asked, and this weekend she's going to be coming, her friend's going to be coming over here to spend the weekend again. And it's going to be like the final hurrah. Her friend is going to be going back to school, I think like 2 days a week. My daughter's not. We put her full remote until we know more into the fall.
Yeah.
So, we're trying to give her one last hurrah. Again, she's my hero because she.
What year is she in?
She's just starting high school.
Oh, okay.
So she's starting.
Well, these are going to be important years for her, and the fact that she's just starting high school is good because the COVID hopefully will be gone, or at least with the vaccine controlled, somewhere within the next half a year, and it's not going to really impact her high school that much. Hopefully there won't be anything else coming and she'll be able to go out with her friends and do all the high school stuff. A lot of kids got shortchanged, no proms, none of that. So that's good in a way. It is. Listen, God bless you, because people get, they don't really understand what it's like to have a real situation. Do you know what I'm saying? Something real to deal with. We become a country of victims. Everybody's a victim. Why me? And I got this, and they're going through their conscious. Well, even though I'm white, I must have been abused at some point, and this, that, and the other, just to fit in. Instead of they don't. If you just gave them something real to deal with, all this other stuff would seem, and not to belittle what's going on throughout the country as far as race relations and police brutality and the shootings and stuff like that. Besides that, I'm just talking about on a day-to-day basis. People they whine and they complain about everything. They don't realize how good they have it. You know what I'm saying?
We all carry different weight. I mean, everybody carries something. I mean, it's like I said, I've been fortunate enough to have met so many people in my life that have inspired me. I've met so many special needs families, and I've taken away so much from them. I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of families who are just starting their journey. Maybe their child just got sick, or maybe they just gave birth to a child who's going to have a difficult life. And I find it wonderful that there's no book for this. There's no handbook for special needs parents. You find out day to day how you're going to deal with it. I can give a little bit of what I've learned. I can give a little bit of what I've seen another family go through. But again, the most important advice that I give every single family is laugh. Mm-hmm. You have to laugh every day. Like I said, there have been days that we didn't think my son was going to make it till the end of that day. And my wife and I are laughing. My daughter too. My daughter in the beginning, she had a very weird sense of humor. She didn't like when you laughed at her when she was very young. She would get angry at you. Now she is one of the most sarcastic, quick-witted, I could not be more proud of her. You know, and again, it's one of those things too, where it's like, okay, this only goes on in the house for now. You know, we can speak like this in the house, not outside yet. But again, it's the laughter. I'll always say that laughter is the best medicine. And like,
I wanted to talk about the Jayden, a journey for what's it called? The bike ride that happens.
Yeah, we weren't able to do that this year.
Yeah, because of the COVID. But annually, you have an annual the bikers from the neighborhood.
From the American. That's where I met you. Was at the American Legion Post. That's where you performed. Was at the American Legion Post. They put together a wonderful thing. There's been some changes within them. You know, again, we couldn't do it this year. I don't know if it's going to be carrying on again. I was talking to Donnell a couple hours ago, and we're actually in the process of trying to figure out a comedy benefit. I mean, we were probably going to do one this year anyway. Had it not been for COVID, we probably would have had a hall or a theater somewhere, and we probably would have done a huge Jayden's comedy benefit. I guarantee you would have been there, Mark. I can guarantee you that.
Love you, man.
You know, we would have had a lot of comedians. We probably would have went on for a couple of hours, and it would have been that. Due to this, we couldn't do it. So again, it's trying to figure out, I mean, there are some talks with some other things that are going to possibly happen before the end of this year. Again, it's just trying to figure out how to do it. It's, you know.
All right, that's good. Are you still working on the cars?
What's that?
Are you still working on cars?
Yeah, I mean, I don't get out. That used to be a therapy for me too. I don't get out to the garage as much anymore.
Well, I got a problem with my muffler. I was thinking maybe I could bring it by.
Bring it on by. We're spending, of course, as everybody. We're barely spending anything because we got to hold on to what we got. Because, again, I mean, I used to do a little security here and there, a little event stuff. Used to do a couple of things here and there to make a little buck here and there. But this year has been nothing besides my pension. You know,
no, I had 4 sources of income, and I'm down to 1 part-time gig. All my money's I pretty much got 2 months left to go before I'm completely out of money completely. And that's, like you said, planning everything out, you know, your bills. So hopefully everything will come back, because without comedy money, without my acting money, it's tough. I wouldn't make it at all, just on who knows what's going to happen. But in the meantime, we're almost coming at our hour. I just want to give us something you want to plug, like what your the bearded humor, your Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, I do the bearded humor on Instagram. I have it on Facebook. I really don't do as much on Facebook with it because, like I said, Instagram seems to be my place. Like I said, it's continuing working with Donnell with the Donnell Rolling Show. If you do watch or listen to that, all the memes within, I do the memes for the show. He sends me his show before it goes to air, and I just listen to it and I just put together memes for it. So you get the meme comedy along with his comedy. So
yeah.
I'm always involved with that with the Donnell Rolling Show on YouTube. There's going to be a lot more coming. Again, like we were talking before about the Chappelle Summer Camp, you know, there is going to be so much growing from that. Dave basically realized he had to figure out a way to keep comedy going and to give other people a platform to keep comedy going. So there's going to be a lot of comedy and a lot growing from that. I hope to be involved with some of that in some ways. And again, like I said, I work with so many different people. I mean, Michael Yo, Hooper Hairpuff, those two were just on America's Got Talent. My stuff is, I'm amazed sometimes too to see how many people post up my stuff. Kevin Hart posts up my stuff. There are just so many amazing comedians. Like sometimes, like I'll get tagged. They're like, "Yeah, so and so just posted up your stuff." I'm like, "Great, wonderful." You know, I take the joy out of that. To me, it's almost the same as when you're on stage seeing the audience laugh. When a meme of mine goes viral, when somebody else posts it up, when it gets 1 million laughs, I read every comment. Every comment to me is that look of laughter in the audience. I love, you know, when Donnell posts something up and it gets the "I hate Jews, I can't stand Jews, I eat those up. Those are my energy. I mean, it's just that my stuff it's everywhere. I see it all the time. People reach out to me, "Hey, could you do this for me?" Absolutely.
Are there any places where people can go if they wanted to make a donation, if they wanted to help out in some way, maybe for you or maybe for Any causes that you're involved in that you want to share with my audience?
Like I said, we're working on something right now, and it's actually with DJ Envy from the Breakfast Club. There may be a bicycle since we couldn't do a bike run. He's big into bicycling now. There may be a bicycle run coming up where either you can ride the bicycle run in, and it's going to be through all the boroughs of New York, or you can support somebody and pay by mile or something like that. So once I know more about that, once things like that get going, or if we end up doing some sort of comedy show, again, I'll have that all on my page. And we'll figure it all out as it goes along. Like I said,
the bike run sounds interesting through Manhattan because you could start off with a bike and then end up on foot.
Yes.
Just don't bring your good bike with you.
I'm an avid biker too. I haven't ridden. I used to mountain bike and I used to street ride and stuff like that. I don't think I would ever want to ride in New York just because of the potholes alone. I don't think I would ever want to ride, but that's a whole other story too.
They have bike lanes now all over the place, and it's pretty interesting, because trying to cross the street, you get a lot of people that they're not used to, or they forget, or you're on your phone.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're getting hit by a bike. Which hurts a lot.
Those guys are moving to those bike messengers.
Oh yeah. And now they got the electronic bikes too. They're doing 30 miles an hour. That's if they didn't hook it up to go 40. No, I think they go 20. You could hook it up to go 30.
Yeah.
My friend did that.
Bring it to even go faster. So
our hour is almost up. I just wanted to tell you that all the stuff that you're doing, man, it means a lot. It means a lot to see strength. For anybody who thinks you're having a tough day, or you're a little stressed out because your boss didn't talk to you in the right way, and you feel disrespected, or something in the news triggered you. Wake up. There's people that have real situations, and they're handling them the best that they can. And this is a family. Your family is just is an inspiration. And the fact that you keep a good head about you, and every time I look at your memes, or your post, it always it grounds me. It makes me realize, stop crying like a bitch, and do what you got to do, man. Get out of bed and go fight the good fight.
But Mark, you have to understand that I hear that a lot, and I get emotional about it sometimes. Like I said, it's. I look at my life now, and I'm connected with people that I could have never thought in a million years that I ever would be connected with. Like I said, like Donnell Rawlings, Team Chappelle, the Chappelle family I'm connected to, like I said, people that I couldn't even imagine ever being connected to. And it's not just those people. It's not just you. It's everyday people. I get people like what you just said about the inspiration about, my birthday was last week, and I had so many people message me, thank you for what you do. That fuels us. My wife and I don't get to go out. We don't get to go to comedy shows. We don't get to go out for fancy dinners. Most of our dinners are spent, like I'll be taking care of Jayden, she'll be eating. She'll be taking care of Jayden, I'll be eating. Or we'll be on the couch just scarfing food down. We get through it. We don't get to go on vacation. Like I said, that fuels people. We don't get that. The fuel, what keeps us going is the laughter, and it's the support. Like I said, I cannot tell you. I've had so many people reach out to me. I just did a whole bunch of work for Pauly Shore. And he's like, Andy, he's like, I want to send you a little something, blah, 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 blah. I told him straight up, Pauly, I said, you've been making me laugh since I was a teenager. I said, I can't put a price on that. I says, you continue to make me laugh every day. I said, just keep doing that. Every now and then I'll get a random call or a text from Pauly Shore, and it makes you, it's Pauly Shore. I can see you smiling just from saying, but it makes you laugh. Like I said, Donnell Rawlings calling me up with, oh my God, this just happened. I got this joke. It's to be, I'm a part of some of his jokes. And again, it's a tough life, but it's the energy that I get back from everybody. It fuels me. It fills my heart with love. It keeps me going. It's what makes me, no matter what my son's going through, no matter what our family's going through, it makes me want to keep going. It reminds me.
It's kind of ironic that he's brought out the best in people.
It's
in some way, your son Jayden he's brought out the best in people. They start. It's I don't know how to explain it.
That's something I've had a lot of people over the years say. Don't you wish you could go back to that day? And as much as in the beginning, I would always say, "Oh my God, yes, if I could." Of course we can't. So you have to put that to this, and you can't go back and change that day. You can't make things better for that day. That day happened. Our lives took a turn that took us on this course. How do you deal with it on this course? And I've always said, too, you're a proud parent. You are a very proud parent. I see that with you. You love your kids. You're very proud. My son has touched more people in life than I could have ever expected or wanted to. Mm-hmm. He has touched people in ways that I see, like I said, I mean, yes, we both have tears in our eyes right now. To touch people and to know that
I'm not crying.
It doesn't make it worth what we go through, but the fact of knowing that what we do go through has made someone's life that much better, that's priceless to me. That's absolutely priceless.
You know what I do with the with this police off the cuff, the podcast that I do with my partner Bill, is that we try to memorialize great first responders' heroic deeds. It's expanded. We've had prosecutors on. We've had medical examiners, journalists, and we're just trying to bring like a positive thing, you know, to the law men, the people who service in the law enforcement capacity and in first responders. It's just some place to go where they can laugh, where they can hear war stories and cop stories and stuff like that. And in the process, before this thing happened, everything is pre-COVID. You know, we had done one show, a stand-up show where we had our audience come down. And when we get back to normal, we're going to be putting together some more shows like that. And we're going to have you come through. And I'm going to tell you, you know what, now, listen, buddy, you got to get your 10 minutes ready. I don't care.
Absolutely.
You know, we're going to tell you got 15 minutes, man. Make 10 of them good.
10 of them will be good. I don't know about 15, but I'll give you 3, 5, so 10, and the last 5 will just be whatever. But we're gonna have.
I'm giving you the light at 12, man. Well, thanks for joining me, man, and God bless you and the family. All the best to you, and we'll be in touch. What I want to do is also too. I'm going to need some photos of you. So we can, when I put this up, I'm going to use those for the flyers, unless you want to create them. We'll talk on the phone about that.
Google God or Jesus, and you could use any one of those.
Thank you, Andy. I appreciate it. Give my family regards.
Love and laughter. Thank you again, man.
All right, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.